Democrats are hyper-focused on a few key races going into the midterms. Obviously, they've got the Senate seats in the swing states. They've obviously got the gerrymandering battle that's going on in California and Texas. However, they are also targeting key governor seats, and one of those is in Ohio. The only problem is that Vivek Ramaswamy is running there, and he has basically already won the battle at this point. If you look at the most recent polling out of Ohio, Democrats have not gone with one person yet, but they were kind of down to their top two, Tim Ryan and Amy Acton. And what you see is that Vivek Ramaswamy is beating Tim Ryan right now in the most recent poll by 8%, and he's beating Amy Acton by 10%. And again, the election isn't for 15 more months, so Vivek has a lot more time to campaign and get those numbers up, which he probably will. That is one of the benefits, by the way, of announcing early. I think Republicans should do this a lot more, is that you have a ton of time to campaign. You can remember back in 2022, right after the midterms, Donald Trump announced that he was running for president in 2024. And so he had essentially 2 years to run for president. And we all know how that turned out for him. Went really well. If you look at the last election in Ohio, it shows how uphill of a battle it would be for Democrats even against some sort of like mediocre candidate. You know, I think Alex DeWine he's the current governor who's up. He's done. And, you know, I think he's kind of mediocre. What you see right here is that he won by 25% against Whaley. I don't know who Whaley is. Maybe not a great, Democrat in the first place. Maybe we'll have a more formidable Democrat. But in any case, 25% up. And I think Vivek Ramaswamy, with all the time he has to campaign, is going to be way above that. If you look, this was in 2024, the presidential results, you can see that Donald Trump won by 12%. You'll also remember that there were polls coming out saying that Kamala Harris was going to win in Ohio. So I think the 8%, 10% lead that Vivek Ramaswamy has in that poll that I showed you is probably really modest, but frankly, 8 to 10% is still fantastic when you're 15 months out. I think Vivek is going to outperform those numbers anyway. Just to show you, though, how great of a leader Vivek has been, what's pulling Ohioans in for him. This is a tweet that he put out just this past week about crime in Ohio, because obviously crime's in the news a lot since Donald Trump has been in D.C. cleaning it up. Here's what he tweeted out. He said, "We're a state of great cities. It's one of Ohio's greatest strengths. Dayton, Toledo, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Youngstown, Akron. Everyone blames someone else for rising violent crime. State versus local, mayors versus judges, etc. But once I'm governor, the buck stops with me." And I love that. And I think this is resonating with a lot of people, not just in Ohio, but in America in general. That is leadership because it is bold and it speaks to people. He is essentially taking full responsibility over an issue that he knows is really important to his constituents. That is not something that politicians do very often because it comes with its risks, because he's making a promise, and if he can't come through with it, he's not going to win re-election. However, he trusts himself to actually get it done. Again, it's something I really like about Vivek. I'm excited to see what he does with crime, specifically in Ohio. There is a certain faction. This is kind of the opposition, you could say. And I don't think it's a left opposition. I think there's zero left opposition to Vivek in Ohio. I don't think there's anything they can do. However, there is a certain faction of the right that does not like Vivek Ramaswamy. You'll remember there was a group that did not like what he said on X about the H-1B visas. Just as a refresher, basically what Vivek said was that it was good to import talent to the U.S. because American workers right now, frankly, aren't as skilled. Just by the numbers, that's just a fact. And this made people go off on this kind of hysteria of, Vivek Ramaswamy's a foreigner, he wants to bring in more immigrants. I think that's a stupid argument. Frankly, I think what Vivek said was maybe not worded correctly, but the essence of what he said was just statistically true. Vivek is, he is racially Indian, but he's never lived a day in his life in India. He speaks perfect English. It's his first language. He loves America. So they're kind of trying to paint him like maybe some leftists that are from like Somalia. You've got Zahran Mamdani from Nigeria, and you've got Omar Fateh in Minneapolis from Somalia who are trying to bring in more Somalians. They're trying to paint him like that. It's just not true. I mean, it just couldn't be further from the truth. I think it's a stupid argument. I'm certainly weary of people who don't speak English. I think that's fine. I like people, of all areas and all people, and that's fine. But at the same time, should we be bringing in people who don't speak English or hate America? Obviously not. Obviously not. However, Vivek could not be further from that. That's not the same camp. And I think his criticism of American workers and students, frankly, is valid because the data is there and it shows it. If you look at the data right now, China is producing talent that beats American talent every single time. That's a real problem. And so I don't think it's the worst idea in the world to go to our friendlier, now I'm not talking about China, but our friendlier allies and bring in some talented people from there that love America and then learn from them. I think that's a very smart thing. I don't think Vivek is just an Indian spy trying to implant immigrants, as some on the far right would have you think. That's more Ilhan Omar, Zohran Mamdani, Omar Fateh, like I mentioned. And if you can't see that difference, I just don't know what to tell you. Like it's clear as day to me. So luckily that faction of the right won't make a big enough difference in Ohio, I don't think. But that will be where the big opposition is. I don't think it will be coming from the left because I don't think they have any power in Ohio right now. Most people see Vivek for what he is. He is an American first patriot. And that was very clear from when he ran back in 2024. I'm really glad he's running for Ohio governor. I think even though he had a pretty decent campaign for president, I think he needs more time to build up that trust in MAGA. I think going for president was a little crazy, especially against Donald Trump. So I'm excited for him to be in Ohio. Obviously, he's going to win, and then we could see a more promising run for president in maybe a decade or two. The progressive left is a cult, guys. I talk all about it in my book, A New Cult. Go check it out. Right now, it's on Amazon. I talk about a lot of things I can't talk about on YouTube. Some crazy stories, some crazy things the left is doing that most people are not talking about. Go check it out right now. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this episode, everybody. Please like the video so other great patriots like yourselves will see it. And you can tune in every single weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show, or you can watch another video right here